It's been about 4 weeks since the iPhone 12 mini was released into the wild. This is the smaller sibling to the iPhones 12, 12 Pro, and 12 Pro Max. Could this be my favorite iPhone ever? Hey, I'm Jerry, and yes, the iPhone 12 mini is my favorite iPhone ever. Yep. Right off the top, I spoiled the ending, but that's okay because you probably want to know more about why or what makes the iPhone 12 mini so great. So what does and doesn't the iPhone 12 mini have over the other iPhones 12? First, just like the other iPhones 12, there is a super fast Apple A14 Bionic processor inside that has the same 6 CPU cores, 4-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine for all of your neural processes. And yada yada yada, but who cares about all that, right? All you need to know is that the processor inside this phone is a super fast mobile processor, and yes, it's faster than last year's Apple A13. It can handle any iOS app that you throw at it, period. The 12 mini has a 5.4-inch Super Retina XDR display with a 2,000,000:1 contrast ratio, True Tone for dynamic color temperature, P3 wide color gamut for amazing colors, and 625 nits of brightness. Now I know that doesn't sound amazing for brightness when the Pro gets 800 nits, but in my use, I have not had any issues seeing the display outside in the sun. Where the 12 mini does win out over the 12 and 12 Pro is in pixel density. It actually boasts a slightly sharper screen than the others at 476 pixels per inch compared to 460 and 458. The 12 mini shares the same wide and ultra wide cameras on the back as the 12 and 12 Pro. Now, I'm not a pro photographer, but in my general usage, the pictures come out great outside or even inside in low light. When the ultra wide cameras came out to the iPhones last year with the iPhones 11, I was skeptical about their usefulness, but it does actually show you a completely different type of picture and allows you to capture a much different photo than the standard lens. I actually ended up using the ultra wide camera on the iPhone 11 more than the telephoto lens and more than I thought I would. So I think I'm okay not having a zoom lens on this iPhone 12 mini. And apparently Apple even switches to the main camera when shooting zoom in low light anyway, so it really reduces the actual need for the zoom lens for me. Other camera features that the 12 mini won't get compared to the 12 Pro is Apple ProRAW for photos, which I wouldn't even know how to edit if I did have it. And then of course there's LiDAR, and it's limited to 30 frames per second when shooting HDR Dolby Vision compared to 60 on the Pro. But most people can't even view that content, that HDR content, on the devices they have, so I don't think I'm missing out on anything there. So that's the basics of what's different between the iPhone 12 mini and the iPhone 12 Pro that I had before, that I sold. You could also add some design differences with the casing and things like that, and a smaller battery, which I'll talk about here in just a moment. And there is the slight difference of 4 gigs of RAM in the 12 mini and 12 compared to the 6 gigabytes in the Pro lines. But in overall daily usage, the situation is not something that can be noticed and does not affect the overall use of the iPhone at all. So what is the first thing that you notice about the iPhone 12 mini? It's the size. I love the size of this phone. This phone is so compact and light compared to the 12 Pro. It almost feels like plastic when you actually pick it up after holding a larger phone. This is due obviously in part to the size and the smaller battery, and the frame being made of aluminum instead of stainless steel like the Pros. And just because it feels light doesn't mean that it feels cheap. This whole thing actually feels solid and like perfectly weighted, so you can just kind of balance it on your finger and it feels pretty good. I was slightly worried that the reduced screen size on the mini would kind of bother me. Apple essentially kept the same scaled resolution of the phone so that if you pull up, say, a web page on both the 6.1 and 5.4-inch displays, you will see the exact same amount of content. Everything is just a tad bit smaller on the mini. And I found that it didn't really bother me that much. And even though I have absolutely awful eyes, I still don't have any issue reading what's on this screen. And if I actually needed to get something closer to my face so I could read it, the phone is so light and small that it's not an issue to just hold it right up here. And just like the Pro, the flat sides of the 12 mini help with grip in my opinion, allowing more surface area for my fingers to grip it, and it just feels more secure in my not so big hands. When I'm holding the mini, I know that I have a good grip on it and it's not going anywhere. And with the size of this phone, I can reach 3 corners of the screen pretty easily without doing some massive finger gymnastics. The only thing I can't reach is straight across, so if I'm trying to type on the keyboard, I have issues hitting the furthest letters, but it's actually not too bad. I can reach well enough. The 12 Pro had a matte back with shiny sides, where conversely, the Mini has a shiny back and matte sides. To me, matte surfaces are a bit more slippery. So when I'm picking up the phone from a desk like this, sometimes I have to squeeze a little bit harder because it can slip a little bit. And I've done that a number of times where the phone has slipped out of my fingertips when picking it up. Speaking of slippery, I've also tried going caseless with my 12 mini just because I like how compact and small it is. I love being able to just slide it in and out of my pocket and have no phone bulge or put it in my phone holder in my truck. But I did have it sitting on my lap when I was sitting outside, and the phone did slide right off my pants onto a concrete surface. And it's hard to see, but there is a little dig on it, and it did upset me at first, but it's kind of like when you get a new car and then you get your first scratch and you can stop worrying about more scratches. But it could have been worse, and I thought I'd just go ahead and toss a case on it anyway. So if you like clear cases, I have a video that talks about this totally clear case, and it's a good case. It's not slippery like the Apple clear case is. It pops right in there, and the buttons actually feel pretty good. They're flat on the side, so they're a little hard to find if you're, you have to kind of finger around and try and find where the button actually is. But once you find them, the buttons actually feel pretty good. I also bought another Apple silicone case, and I was going to get the red one, but I was convinced to get this kumquat color. And of course, it does look amazing with the blue. And the buttons are a little spongier than I prefer my cases to be, but it's got MagSafe, so if you want to live that MagSafe lifestyle, you can do that with the Apple silicone cases. Whether it's the Apple silicone case, the totally clear case, or any other case, it does eliminate that slippery side issue that I talked about just a moment ago, making it easier to pick up off of a flat surface. The soft touch coating on the Apple silicone case does not seem to pick up a bunch of lint that I've seen so far and barely adds any bulk to the phone, and it still slides easily in and out of my pockets. And like I said, if MagSafe is your thing, then the Apple silicone case is the one to get if you're going to be using a case. And now, the battery. It's true, the smaller iPhone does have a smaller battery. If you are a heavy user of your iPhone, you may not get the battery life that you really want. But if you look at my usage from yesterday, I got up around 6:30 a.m. and went to bed around 10:30 p.m. with 10% left. I got 8 hours of screen on time with a mix of team calls, YouTube, Twitter, browsing, watching some news, and listening to a podcast. And that's actually pretty darn good for a phone this size. I did that without topping off at all. And if you have a charger at your desk and top it off once or twice a day, you should be good. And I was thinking about this the other day. If I was still going to my office every day for work, I think I would still be fine with the battery life of the Mini because it would get charged and topped off on my way to work and on my way home in my vehicle. And when I'm at home and working, I usually toss this on my Samsung Qi charger every now and then between meetings, and I'm good. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if it's related to having a smaller phone over the last month or not, but I've actually seen some relief of my tennis elbow on my right arm. Now, this is totally anecdotal, but I'm wondering if a lighter phone that requires less finger gymnastics is helping to alleviate some of my RSI issues that I developed over the last couple of years of using larger phones. I don't know, but I'd be really interested to see if anyone else is seeing some relief going with a smaller device. So overall, the biggest draw of the iPhone 12 mini for me is the size. It's nice moving down to a smaller device after years of slight increases. I've used every sized phone from the original iPhone to the plus sized iPhones, and for Android, HTC Legend up to the Galaxy S9 Plus. For people with not huge hands, people who have smaller pockets, or people who may not need all the features that the Pro phones add, this is a great device. If you think you need additional hours of battery life that a phone this size can't handle, I got 8 hours of screen on time. But even so, if you can't spend any time near a charger, then you probably need to look at the 12 or 12 Pro for those couple extra hours of battery. For my use, there's no advantage to getting the Pro except for battery, which is a strange thing to admit after so many years of actually using the best phones. The iPhone 12 mini does everything I need a phone to do, and it does it in a more compact, easier to use and carry way. And after 4 weeks with the 12 mini, this is my favorite iPhone ever. And yes, I purposely left out anything about 5G because who really benefits from that right now? But what do you think? Is this size of the iPhone 12 mini a benefit or disadvantage? Do you think you would prefer a smaller device for your next phone? Let us know below. If you want to see more of my opinions about the iPhone 12 mini, you can check out my unboxing video right over here. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.